Thank you, Dr. Kari, for joining us on this amazing Zoom meeting. I'm very inspired by your body of work and your journey this far. I just look forward to asking you these questions and getting some feedback that I could possibly use in my early career. I thank Marc for teaming up with you to get you here on this platform with us to get some answers to these amazing questions that we have for you today. But without further ado, I will say one thing that I noticed from your page. It was that something that I saw that was very consistent. It was your smile, it was your passion, and just everything that you were doing. It was just like it was genuine, and I really felt that through the phone when I was looking on your Instagram earlier. And I'm just great to be in this position to have a conversation with you and get some feedback from a person of your stature. So please.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for having me. And that just warms my heart. I do love what I do. I'm very passionate. So thank you so much, Marc. I've known Marc for a really long time. So I'm so glad that he reached out to me so that I could meet you. And I'm very excited to contribute. I have a heart for this industry. I have a heart for what I do. And so I'm so glad you can feel it. Yes. Yeah, that's what I want. That's what I want. So especially during this time where we're all forced to practice social distancing. So feeling that authenticity is so important.
Right. And that's something that you want to convey to your viewers or your listeners, so that way they can relate or gravitate toward what you're putting out. So I definitely felt that. And I was telling Marc earlier that I went on your page and then I looked around, and then this morning I went on and I just went extensive. I was just like on everything. And I was just like blown away from your body of work, and just like, you just seem so humble, man. And I just admire that about you. So I just wanted to tell you that too.
Thank you so much. Well, I believe that, I've always considered myself, and I know that I'm a vessel for God's work. And so that is what allows me to remain humble, because I tell people all the time, I'm you, like we're the same. Right. And when you can tap into that God self, and you know that God has created you unique, what you have, no one else in the world has, then it allows you to move and operate in spaces with that genuine humility, because it's not me. It is truly by the grace of God.
Dr. Kari.
Yeah.
I saw that you were doing rather a twisty or a braid, right? And I had to watch it 2 times. Because I didn't know if somebody fast forwarded it and it was just like, and I'm just like, what? So I had to go back and watch it again. But I'm assuming that it's just your technique and your body placement when you was doing it. And I was just like, I definitely got to ask her this question, because I feel like as a barber, which a lot of us, we don't have the correct body placement when we cutting hair. And I feel like that's very important, and it'll allow you to last longer in your career. So can you explain a little bit about that?
Yes, I'm really big on career longevity, especially for professionals like us, where how we make our money is based on our physicality, like how strong we are, how healthy we are. And so it's really all about body alignment. I've always really been into health and fitness. I was an athlete in high school, and that just translated throughout my life, where once I got into the work of doing hair full time, really being aware of your body.
What sport you play?
Well, I ran, and I was a cheerleader, and cheerleading is a sport.
Yes, it is.
I was a long distance runner.
Okay.
So I ran the marathon in high school. So I don't run as much now, but I definitely stay fit. And so, I mean, as an athlete, you become trained in self-awareness of your body and being aware of your body. And so I've translated that into my career, understanding the importance of posture and body alignment. And I really emphasize that when I'm teaching and educating other professionals, because just like us, we're so young, and I would hear stories all the time of people getting hip surgeries and knee replacements, and just the aches and pains in the shoulders and carpal tunnel arthritis, all the things that really people in our industry, we start to experience, but we experience it a lot younger because that repetitive movement and motion we've been doing for so long. Most of us, this is our gift. We've been doing it since we were kids. So when you start to develop self-awareness of your body, and you, one, outside of work on strengthening your body, being aware of body alignment, posture, and then you take that into your workspace, it definitely helps to enhance your ability to work longer and stay healthy. And then if you get out of position and you know, like, wait a minute, I'm leaning too far to the right, or, you know, my shoulder's starting to hurt, and you become aware of that and you can fix yourself. Because I ain't gonna be walking around here crooked and, you know, hands all out of place.
Right. I definitely understand what you mean by when, you know, you like, say, for example, like a lot of times when I do a mustache, my posture might go like this, and it's not as upright as it needs to be, or my right foot in front of my left foot in front of behind my other foot, opposite foot. But it's just like, you know, we got to practice those things if you want longevity. But with that being said, that leads me into my next question for you. Because I know you use your hands a lot, and I use my hands a lot. Marc uses his hands a lot. And what are some good hand exercises? Because I have some, but I'm curious of the ones that you use, or what remedies that you may use for your hands.
Oh, love these questions, Lo. Okay, so one of the things that I do, and I'm gonna demonstrate some of the things that I do to stretch my hands, but I really talk about the importance of icing your hands. So when, like, in the beginning of my career, I had a client who was a doctor, and she said to me, you know, you're young. At the end of each day, you should ice your hands, even if they don't hurt, just because the repetitive movement in your joints builds up inflammation, and that's what leads to arthritis and carpal tunnel over time, because it's the repetition, it's the chronicness of it. So icing your hands at the end of the day, even when you don't feel anything, is a great preventative measure. That's something that I've done and I continue to do. I've even incorporated lately soaking my hands in Epsom salt. So those are some of the remedies. And another one too is the wrist supports. I don't work in wrist supports, but I will sleep in them. And I do that because I personally have a tendency to sleep on my hands or on my side, and it can cut off circulation to my joints. And so sleeping in wrist supports helps to keep my joints in alignment while I sleep, so that the blood can flow freely and do the natural corrective things that our body does. And so as far as, let me try to back my screen up here, as far as hand exercises. So this is one of my favorites, and I do a lot like on the floor. So if I was on the floor, I would place my palm flat, and I always make sure that I keep all my fingers in alignment, and I include my thumb, because sometimes that thumb wants to get out there, and I just use my hand and press my fingers towards me, and I use my thumb too to press my knuckles out, so I can really get a good stretch in my tendons, keeping my elbow straight. And so really pressing my hand towards my body until I can get a good stretch. That's right, gentlemen, we stretching. And then I do the opposite. And I bring my hand towards my body. And then I hold it in that way. And then I'll sometimes even stretch each finger. So I'll take my thumb, press it out. I'll use my opposite thumb to press against my knuckle to really get a stretch in that tendon. And I just go through each finger, and stretch each to get a deep stretch in each tendon.
How long is it?
And I use my thumb to press my finger out and really get that flexibility.
Okay.
Can you feel that?
Yes, indeed. I feel that.
Okay, so this is another key thing. All of this, as we know in the human body, all these tendons is connected all the way through your elbow, up through your shoulder. So I also do a lot of shoulder stretching, and I lift my arm up, and I make sure I can really feel it. And the key thing is, again, body awareness. So your body typically wants to turn. You want to keep your body square and bring your arm over so you can really get that stretch in your shoulder. So regular shoulder stretches up above the arm. And then stretching my neck. When I stretch my neck, I flex my palm at the side of my body. So you should also feel, if you're doing this.
Okay.
And then you're also pulling your neck at the same time, you should start to feel a stretch all through your palm.
Yeah.
You feel that?
all of this. Okay.
I'm about to be using all of these.
Yeah. You should stretch at least 15 minutes a day. It's just like a sport. I treat what I do like a sport. So before you get out there and play, you warm up. So at the beginning of my day, before I go into work, I stretch. I stretch. And then sometimes in the middle of my day, because a lot of the work I do, and I know you gentlemen can identify, is labor intensive. I'm working a 12, 14-hour day. So I'll even take breaks in the middle of my day to stretch. And other important stretches to keep in mind are hip stretches and lower back stretches and calf stretches.
That's what I'm focused on.
Because of the standing.
Yeah. Okay. I don't focus so much on the hands. I focus.
So let me ask you another question. Since we're on this topic, like, because like my mentor tells me this. He was like, yeah, after a while, you ain't gonna be wearing those Jordans no more. You're gonna have to get you some good supportive shoes. So what kind of shoes would you say is, ideal for, our occupation? Because we standing a lot.
Right. I mean, my go-to shoe brand has been, the main one I've been buying a lot of are Reeboks, but New Balances.
Yeah.
Because to your mentor's point, there isn't really a shoe designed for standing like that, but you have great shoes for running. And again, I'm a runner. Right. So when I was running, I would get into like Asics. But New Balances are fly because, we like to be fly. So, and there's some fly Reeboks too. So to keep it fly, but also to keep it comfortable. Those are the shoes that I typically wear when I'm at work for support. Because when I was younger too, in my 20s, I wasn't making the right decisions. I was wearing heels to work.
Man.
Right. And my clients were like, and we'll see how long that lasts. You're in your 20s. So I can definitely say now that I'm in my 30s, I'm not wearing heels to work.
Fair indeed.
Hey.
All right. So a little bit more now to get more in depth. You are on the board of barbering and cosmetology. That is thoroughly impressive to myself and my man Carlos, because we are both very ambitious and you are very accomplished, and we want to excel as well in our careers. So what made you go for that, and how did you achieve it?
So what sparked my interest was when I got my first inspection of my salon. And I got inspected, and I had a pretty good inspection. I think like one of my stylists, their disinfectant was dirty. And so it was like, okay, I was responsible because I was the owner, and then she got a fine too. And at the time when I got this inspection, the current vice president of the board was a Black man. And he happened to come by my salon, and he just started talking to me about the board. And I think we can all agree, like when you're in school, you hear about the board, it sounds like the Wizard of Oz, like this big, scary, intangible thing that like regulates you and will give you fines and citations. And when I met this man, I'm like, this is a Black man. Like, he owns a couple of beauty schools in my community. So if he can do it, I can do it. So I applied. I filled out an application. It was really just out of, I guess I've always been an overachiever. It was out of just my natural personality of just wanting to be involved in the industry in a bigger way. I became more curious about the process after my own inspection, and then meeting someone who was actually on the board. And then it became a more tangible thing, where before it was very lofty, seemed very unattainable. It became very tangible. Like, oh, well, if he can be on the board, I could be on the board. I would like to be on the board. And again, my history as a student, like I was always in student government. I'm in a sorority, took leadership positions. So it kind of fell naturally for me to want to also be involved in a, like I said, in a more in-depth way within this industry to really have impact.
That's dope.
So I applied. I forgot the other part of your question. When I applied, it took like 2, almost 3 years.
Hmm.
So I applied. I didn't hear anything. I just thought like, oh, okay, maybe this is just the process they do. Anybody can apply, but they do have a secret way in which they select people. You know how we can do with the government, like,
Possibly.
Right.
Yeah. But I applied, a year went by, I didn't hear anything. So then I just started to lobby for myself. I just figured, let me do what I did in school. So at the time, Holly J. Mitchell, she was running for councilwoman. And I met with Holly J. Mitchell, and I got her to give me a letter of recommendation. And then I met with Danny Bakewell Jr., and I got him to write me a letter of recommendation. And I just started sending in these letters of recommendations from leaders in our community, lobbying for me and saying, this young woman is in the industry and she wants to be a part of this board. After I sent in all of my letters, and then I had support because I started to become more active with the board. And that's what I would encourage you and any other professional listening to do: attending meetings, just familiarizing myself with the process so that I was no longer intimidated by it. So I believe 2 things began to happen. One, the members of the board and the staff who are connected to the board, they started to become more familiar with me as a licensee in the state. And then I also had members who were lobbying for me to get on the board. Fred Jones, who's also the president of the PBFC, the Professional Beauty Federation here in California for licensed professionals. So all of those things really happened. And then next thing you know, like 2-3 years later, I was getting a call from the governor's office.
Nice. All right.
That's awesome.
What is the best or most important thing that being on the board taught you?
Being on the board, it has taught me how important it is for us to be active in our industry, because we really help to shape the regulation that governs what we do. The mandate of the board is to keep the public safe. So our primary mandate is the health and safety of the public. And it's made up of both public members and industry members. So I am an industry member, of course, because I'm a licensee. And it taught me how important it is to be involved in the structures, in the organizations that impact what you do on a day-to-day basis. So as licensed barbers or any other licensed individuals in the state of California, you want to know what laws are being passed are going to directly affect you and how you do your business. You want to know what it is that is expected of you as a licensee when you are serving the public. It just really increases your awareness. It helps you to make sure that you're not only being more responsible within your business, but it gives you foresight and vision, so you know how to map out what you do if regulations and laws are changing, which has happened since I've been on the board.
Wow. Boiling down, and next is sanitation. You were very specific about how important it is to sanitize prior to this COVID-19 situation.
Yeah.
Corona-19 situation. And just please reiterate how important it really is to do these things proper way.
Yeah, I mean, again, as licensed individual, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mark.
Before you said that, when I was in barber class, like, it really scared me. Like, I became a germaphobe because of the things that they taught me.
Okay.
It was like, oh my goodness, like, I can not just contract, but pass on these things, communicable diseases. So you are far more prolific than I am, and you remember all the things that you studied. So you say it better than I am, because I'm going to get frustrated and start. I don't want to start fussing, but I want you to tell me, and tell us, what is the best way to protect ourselves and then protect others?
Yes. So, like you said, even before the coronavirus, as working with the public, we're touching the human body. We're in very close contact with individuals. There's a possibility of blood exposure, especially as barbers, you know, using straight razors, using clippers. And so beyond this, it's always been our responsibility, as you said, to protect. And so the process of disinfection is so important. And every single process when we are working with a client is important. So one, it starts with before you, in between clients and before you start a client, always washing your hands. The state also allows you to use the disinfectant. So disinfecting, washing your hands. Also too, if you're dealing with someone and you're doing like scalp consultations, or even if you see something in the scalp, any type of flaking, anything that you think might be related to a fungal infection, it's good to have gloves, you know, so that you can put gloves on and use your gloves to inspect someone's scalp to protect yourself. So that's always really important. Protecting the client. So we have neck strips, making sure that you're using fresh neck strips on each client, and making sure that that chair cloth is touching the neck strip and not the neck. So taking your time to properly protect your client's neck, especially if you're reusing your chair cloth and throwing those neck strips away. I mean, we have both disposable and non-disposable items. So all disposable items, your neck strips, cotton balls, you know, anything like that should be thrown away immediately after use. And then all your items that can be disinfected, you have to make sure that, one, you're storing them in a clean, debris-free, labeled container. It has to be labeled clean, or a drawer. And those clean items have to remain covered. Your soiled items, which are items that can be disinfected, but are not disinfected yet and you've already used them, should be stored in an area labeled soiled or dirty. Those items don't have to be covered, they do have to be labeled. And then when you're disinfecting your tools, it's important that you take your time to disinfect your tools. So I know in a barbershop, it's pretty more, it's more fast paced than like when you're in the salon where you might have a little bit of time. So I always recommend barbers having multiple sets of tools so that in between clients, you're always using clean combs, clean clipper guards, clean shears, and not reusing them until you have time to properly clean. And properly cleaning and disinfecting your tools requires you to use soap and water and a brush so that you can clean your tools free of debris, any dirt, any hair. You rinse them and then you dry them and then you put them in the disinfectant. I know it's a habit to like use something and just dump it in the disinfectant. That's not the proper way for you to do it, because you can and will be fine if your disinfectant is dirty. As soon as your disinfectant becomes cloudy or full of debris, then it's no longer effective. So you have to make sure, so that you're not wasting disinfectant, because that disinfectant is expensive, that in order to make sure that your disinfectant is not becoming dirty too quickly, that you're actually cleaning your tools before you put them in the disinfectant and your disinfectant remains covered. You are allowed to use spray disinfectant for your metal objects. So your shears, your razors. Now, disposable razors, of course, should be thrown away. But if you have a straight edge razor that's not disposable, you are allowed to use the spray disinfectant, but you still want to clean them first, and then use the spray disinfectant and allow that disinfectant to sit on your metal objects for the required time based on the label, and then, you know, wipe them free. And the reason why the board did that is because we know we spend a lot of money, especially when you invest in your shears and your straight edges. If you leave them in that disinfectant, it can rust them, and things like that. So
the law has changed just a bit.
Yeah, that was something that was added. That was added while I was on the board. You've been allowed to use spray disinfectant. I want to say, see, I've been on the board for 7 years. So I want to say within the last 4 years, that's when that particular law came into effect. But remember, so this is why it's important to get involved, because that came about because professionals were like, you're fining me because my shears aren't in the disinfectant. But that's going to mess up my tool that I've paid $300 for. So, you know, we went through and we said, okay, there is this spray disinfectant that works. You can go ahead and use that. on your clippers, your shears, your straight edge razors.
Okay. And on the opposite end of that spectrum too, I've, like you said, there's a difference between being a barber and a hairstylist. So I have well over $100 worth of combs, and combs are cheap. Like I have well over $100, and thanks to you, I've learned that they should be labeled, and these are soiled, these are clean.
Right.
So what I've done is taken my time to use as many as I can based on my work process and how many clients I want to provide service for. So I can go through 50, 60, 70 combs in a week and not have to properly sanitize them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Until it's time to, until I have my weekend, until I have my off time to do this. Because like we said, and thank you for putting me on the E-Myth. We got to shout you out for the E-Myth.
Oh, yes.
Talking about, I was just telling Loso about that, the E-Myth.
Sure was.
Yeah.
Let me give y'all another book that's really good.
Please do.
Oh man, it's hold on. It's I didn't buy a hard copy. It's an Audible, and I can't remember it all of a sudden. Hold on, I'm about to pull it up right now. I've really been on this book since last year, and it has changed my life. Here it is. Secrets of the Millionaire Mind.
Oh yeah, what? Yes.
Oh, you already know? E. Harv Eker?
Yes. I read that.
Okay.
I'm writing it down. I didn't have it.
That's the book I let somebody borrow, and I was trying to tell you about earlier, like literally 2 hours ago, dog.
Who is the author?
I could not.
E. Harv Eker. I'm gonna put it in our chat.
Okay.
Please do.
Thank you.
Like I said, my brother just walks up on me sometimes and just drops off books and then takes a bunch of mine. And then sometimes I let my friends borrow books and I get lost. But yes, that book is powerful. One of my other mentors. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna read that again soon. Yeah.
So
I listen to it. I listen to a part of it every day. I've been listening to a part of it every day for the last year. I've probably technically have read it 100 times.
Oh, like 15 people. Like, did I give you this book? I'm looking for my book now.
all right. So Dr. Kari, moving forward, and I don't know why this is happening. It's a noise. Do y'all hear that noise?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, a little bit.
Okay, I don't know why it's doing that.
Edit that out.
Hold on 1 second.
I think it's because you didn't log into.
Oh, but maybe because both of your screens are on.
Yeah, I'm about to turn one off right now. Okay, I just took that one away. So Dr. Kari, moving on to what the heck?
Is the speaker still on?
I'm about to just turn it off. Yeah. All right. I don't know what that was about, but okay. So Dr. Kari, moving forward to my next question that I have for you. I like what you were doing on your page as you did the what do you call it? The gratitude journals.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty insightful. I like how you acknowledge a lot of others along your way. But I also see that you met a lot of people, and you know they kind of put you in certain positions to kind of give that push.
People. All right. So a lot of the people that I've met along my journey, the first thing that comes to mind are hair shows. Like early in my career, I went out a whole lot more than I do now. Now, I am reaping the benefits of my going out. So I stay very busy in the salon, which I'm grateful for. But prior to getting to this place, I was out. I was going to professional networking mixers. I'm going to hair shows, big shows, small shows. I just really wanted to be involved in the industry because, again, I knew how important it is to build relationships.
Man.
The business that we're in is about relationships, but when it comes to life, it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you.
Right.
And I wanted to make sure a lot of people knew me. So I was I was out there meeting people, talking to people. I'm a what you call it, antisocial extrovert. I do know how to get out there and talk to people. And so specifically my league, I appreciate all of the women and still have really great relationships with the women and some of the men that I've met along my journey who've been very supportive, who have poured into me and have just really been examples. My league, what I love about my league, one, she's from LA. And she has and continues to have an impact on my life and on my journey, because before she built Curlbox, I met her at a hair show. And I remember she talked about the idea. So being able to develop a relationship with her, and even though I wasn't front and center as the idea grew, I was definitely on the front row as a witness to how she built her business. And so to have a relationship with this woman, and even as she was growing her business, we were still in the same circle, we still are. So I would still have the opportunity to meet with her and have lunch and talk to her as she was on her journey. And it's just one of those moments where when you have an idea, when you have a desire, when you have a goal to be so much more and to acquire and achieve so much more than maybe what you've been exposed to, and then someone who you're close to, who you can touch, and it's not like there's some far off person who you're just reading about, and you're witnessing them really actualizing their dream. I was forever changed, because she wasn't just someone who I was reading about. I was like, no, I know her. I remember when we were at that hair show. I remember when this was an idea. I remember when I signed up for her website before it launched. You know what I'm saying? I remember being a witness. And it's so important, I think, for all of us to have those individuals in our life who we can witness their journey. Oftentimes we don't witness the journey. And I think when you're able to witness the journey, it just adds fuel for you, because again, like I said at the beginning of this, I'm just like them. Like, there's no difference.
Right.
The only difference is your mindset and the level of risk that you're willing to take, paired with your confidence. And as long as you're confident and you're sure and you believe in what it is that you create and what it is that you do, then it can happen. And it's just taking the journey. And social media, I think, really takes away from the reality that anything that you do takes time. Everyone's journey is different. We see the glory, but we don't see the story. And when you can see the story, then you're more gentle with yourself in your own process. But the key is staying consistent. And one thing that I've been able to witness and observe my lead do is, one, her level of authenticity, and then two, her consistency and her commitment to her idea. And that's tangible. That's evidence. That inspires me and lets me know, okay, Kari, just keep going. And then I'm just gonna stop there, because I'm gonna keep going.
Right. But I have one more question for you.
And I got one more too.
It kind of, I mean, because I could talk all day, but I know we don't have that much time. But what, as far as the people that inspired your life, what is one thing that kind of the information that you got that propelled you into a different stratosphere?
So for me, it was starting to put myself in environments where I was interacting with stylists or individuals who were making a lot of money doing hair, and interacting with or witnessing clients who were willing and or had the resources to pay a lot of money for hair. And then working with the company, that just exposed me that with me working in LA and just working in my community, and now I'm being flown to Paris or being flown to the Virgin Islands or being flown to Trinidad and Tobago to talk about something that I do every day, that really completely shifted my whole mind, because what it said to me was, Kari, this is bigger than what you ever thought. When I first decided to pursue hair as a professional career, it was out of my love for it. You know, I wanted to be a salon owner. I wanted to make people happy. I wanted to make people feel beautiful. I wanted them to love their natural hair. And then I got thrust into these other environments. I was like, oh, there's opportunities to do more than just hair in the salon in my neighborhood. I can travel around the world and get paid to speak and teach. There are people out here who are willing to pay $1,000 for hair, and there are stylists who are charging it. How do I become one of them? So that level of exposure completely shifted me. And once I was exposed, I couldn't go back. And I will never go back. Now it's my mission to empower as many people as I can, to remind them of their value and to let them know the world is so much bigger. And so many men and women like myself who come from the hood, who come from low income families, you know, who grew up in households, you know, where they were struggling. I know me personally, there was always at least 6 kids. My mom only had 3, but she was taking people in. And so, you know what I'm saying? And so and then if you're told over and over again certain things about money and wealth and income that limit the possibilities. Money don't grow on trees. All money ain't good money. Like, all of these things that are said only reinforce a reality in your brain that you're limited. But when you start to break past that and you're like, wait a minute, money really does grow on trees, actually. And actually, all money is good money. So I just need to figure out how to deal with this personality to determine, you know, how I can still get my money. Because that's what this world runs on. And then it also expands your creativity, because when you know you can travel and speak and you start to value your own personal journey and the information and knowledge that you have, then you start to figure out ways of, how can I take my individual gift that no one else has, there's no one else like me in the world, and really impact somebody else. And when you start to move in that way, the money just comes.
I believe that. I really believe that. Marc, I don't know if you got another question, but I'll fire one.
You know what? She has answered all of my questions. I'm going to gracefully bow out right now.
Okay.
And just thank you for your time and your energy and your focus and all the opportunities and ideas you've blessed me with and guided me on. So just thank you for your time right now.
Oh, you're welcome.
Could not be more grateful for you right now. Like, you answered any and every question I was thinking about asking right now.
Oh, okay, dope. I'm not a clairvoyant, but I do be tapping in.
Oh, right. Again, I appreciate you in some way, shape, or form, whether it be via Zoom or a sit and talk. I would love to, like, kind of pick your brain and, you know, get some answers, because I'm on my mission over here too, and I'm highly driven. I'm highly passionate about what I do, which is hair. So if that could be something that we could, I know you're a busy woman, but when the time permits, I would love to try to figure that part out.
Yeah, I mean, my time is definitely different. Marc will tell you, I love to talk. I love to just take my experience and my resources to help. I have a background in marketing and advertising. So that's where, like, my scholastic achievements come in and really help me to help individuals like yourself think about your business in different ways. So yeah, we can definitely figure that out for sure.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and you know, like you and I do, bro, like, you know, we chop it up all the time. So, you know, a lot of the information that I come up with, I got from her anyway. So I can't even take credit for it, dog. Like, like I'm so blessed to have people and mentors in my life, much like Dr. Kari. So, and Trevor, and man, the list goes on and on. So I'm truly blessed, and you and I are building this bridge right now to help so many people cross the bridge to become who they want to be, because it is important that we see each other and help each other and become vessels. Thank you. Become that vessel. Like, you are that strong, and you're gonna be that next version. I didn't even realize I'm that version, and she may not realize she's that version, you know, until she finally realized it. So yeah, we're all out here together, and we're definitely helping each other, and it's a beautiful thing to witness and work through, because God is good to us all, and He's working with us, through us, in us, and at all times. So we got this, and it's a beautiful thing. And sheesh, can't wait to have you on again.
This was fun.
Oh, you just say nothing. We're gonna do this several more times.
Congratulations to the two of you too for building this platform.
Yes.
Very much. I enjoyed this conversation. I look forward to hearing from you soon.
Yes, sir. All right.
I got a ton more questions. Just know I got a ton more questions for you.
I got a ton more answers. I've been doing this for a long time, and I've made a lot of expensive mistakes.
We all have. Such is life. But we got it, you know, and God got us. So it's a beautiful experience, and thank you all for your time and your energy and your focus once again. But yeah, this definitely will help a lot of people. So
awesome.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna keep it going.
All right, y'all. Well, until we meet again.
Till next time.
All right.
Peace and blessings.